Hello everybody, I'm OCDsaster, and this is OCDsaster Blue, my Sonic exclusive channel, where everything we do here is Sonic related. So if that sounds like something your speed, consider watching some other videos after this one and subscribing. It really helps me out. So in today's video, I wanted to discuss something because they recently released on the official Sonic the Hedgehog YouTube page a OST soundtrack for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, and it's for a track we haven't seen in any footage yet, and that is Digital Circuit. That's right, we are getting a Shadow the Hedgehog representation here because Digital Circuit was in Shadow the Hedgehog. And that got me thinking, I talk a lot about extreme gear and characters and character rosters for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, but I haven't really talked about the tracks. So in today's video, you won't believe what I'm going to be talking about. Big the Cat's Feet. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to be talking about the potential tracks or tracks that I would like to see in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, along with the ones we already know that are officially in the game. Now this is going to be the Sonic inspired tracks. It's not going to be any DLC or the third-party character tracks. We'll get to that later down the line. Alright, so let's take a look at these main tracks that have already been established for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. First we have E Stadium, which is an original track making its debut in CrossWorlds. We've seen this in several trailers. It looks very cool. It has a lot of like retro Green Hill, aesthetics around it, and it looks like a stadium-like course, hence the name E Stadium. I'm very excited to play this Neo color technical stage. It looks like a lot of fun. Next is Rainbow Garden, which we have also seen, which is another original track, and that's going to have what I believe to be what we saw with the Chow rides, and it's like an amusement park. Very cool. Next is Water Palace, which was introduced in Sonic Rush. It's one of my favorite Sonic Rush levels. That's a very underrated game, by the way, and it's also going to be a main track. We have Metal Harbor, which is based off of Sonic Adventure 2. It's a very interesting pick for Sonic Adventure 2. We'll get into that later, but we've seen tons of footage of that where you're just, driving around the gun base. Then is Ocean View, based off of Seaside Hill from Sonic Heroes. That seems to be like the main staple, iconic stage from Sonic Heroes. It was also in Sonic Racing Transformed and stuff like that. So it's also easy to take assets from previous games and put them in. But I'm not mad about it because the design is flawless. Then we have Wonder Museum, which is an original track with elements from various Sonic games. So this is kind of going to be like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of like the Namco Museum games, which was basically, I had it for the PlayStation 1, where you could go into these museums in like a three-dimensional space and see all the different Namco games like Pac-Man and stuff like that. And it was really, really cool. Dig Dug, a bunch of other retro games like that. And you could explore this museum and read and look at like models and textures and then also play the games. So that's what I'm seeing for this. It's going to kind of be this really cool museum where you're just going to see a lot of relics from various Sonic games that just didn't have enough to make a full-on track. So this one's probably going to be a top contender for my favorites. And we're going to probably see a lot of videos breaking down Easter eggs and stuff like that. Next is Sand Road, which is a track inspired by Sandopolis from Sonic & Knuckles, and elements, this is interesting, elements from Sonic Adventure 2, thus proving that they're going to try to put some common themes from different games into one track. So we're probably going to see stuff similar to the Sand Ruins from Sonic Adventure 2, which I didn't really like playing those levels, but the aesthetic and look of it is very cool, so I'm happy to see what that looks like. Next is Colorful Mall, which is going to be an original track. We saw a little bit of this in some of the trailer footage. I mean, cool, a mall. I'm not really super excited about it. I don't know why a lot of these mascot kart racers have to have malls included, but it's here, it's there, we'll go forward. Next was one that was just recently revealed, and that's Mystic Jungle, based off of Sonic Forces. Yes, we're even getting some Sonic Forces love. And Mystic Jungle, although I wasn't a fan of the levels or the game in general of Sonic Forces, by the way, in case you didn't know, this is going to be a little bit of a shill. I have a whole playlist on what I would do to recreate and make Sonic Forces better. You can check that out after this. I think it's pretty good. Anyway, Mystic Jungle looks great. It looks iconic. I love the way they built it in Sonic Forces. You just don't get to play it enough. As soon as you really start loving the level, it's already done. I've had my nitpicks for Sonic Forces. I'm not going to go any more into that. Like I said, there's other videos here on the channel where you can get into all that nonsense. Then Apados, I believe I'm saying that right, I don't know, based off of Sonic Unleashed. I don't remember much of Sonic Unleashed, unfortunately. It was very fun for the daylight stages, but I remember as a kid, the Werehog stages just absolutely irritated me to no end, and I kind of just gave up. I also had the Wii version of the game, which was like the most inferior version. I think if I would have had it on a different console with like the Hub Worlds, it would be better. I also have a hot take that I'm going to say real quick that everyone's going to get mad at me for, but I don't care. Unleashed is not that great of a game. I don't know what this whole discourse is. Like, over the years, people are like, well, actually, Sonic Unleashed was peak. No, it's not. The mods can make it peak if you have, you know, emulating and all this other stuff to make some of the segments better. But the Werehog stages make the game absolutely horrendous, and there's nothing you could say to change my mind. The battle music keeps replaying. The gameplay is just very lazy. And yeah, I like that they tried something new, but it didn't work. The day stages are the best. Sonic Unleashed is mid. Sorry about that. Now we're going to go into what I would like to see based off of this list in Sonic CrossWorlds. Now this doesn't mean it's going to happen. These are just my ideas, and I'm just having a little bit of fun. I'm sure you guys have tons of better ideas, so you gotta let me know down in the comments after you hear mine, okay? Let's get into it. So, in the spirit of them just letting us know that Digital Circuit is going to be in CrossWorlds, I thought it'd be cool to have a different Shadow the Hedgehog type of stage. And it's not Westopolis. I don't think Westopolis would actually be that great. We have tons of city levels and city stages in Sonic, and we'll get into maybe some later that I want to see in over Westopolis, but I think Sky Troops is underrated. Hello, you have ruins in the sky. Could you imagine most of the course just being flying? Because as I actually failed to mention in my previous video, your carts transform into planes, and what if we had stages that were majority of one form? I think that'd be very cool. You're driving on the ruins, and then you launch off a ramp, and then you start flying to get to the next part of the ruins. It quite literally writes itself, Sega. Come on, put it in, let's go! My next pick is an interesting one, because if we're including Sonic Forces, why not give Sonic 06 some love? And don't get me wrong, Sega and Sonic Team have finally, you know, moved over and given Sonic 06 more love in the later years, but I think it would be cool to get a stage, or a track rather, from a stage in Sonic 06. And for, you know, a minute I was gonna put Kingdom Valley, but I feel like we just got that with Shadow Generations, and it looks great. I love the aesthetic of Kingdom Valley, but from a racing perspective, it kind of just looks okay. It would get kind of boring after a while. I mean, I know we're dimension hopping in between laps, but still, I wanted to think of something a little bit juicier, a little bit better. And I mean, the argument kind of sucks because you still get to play this in the Sonic Generations portion, but Crisis City would be a really cool track because there's just lava and buildings collapsing everywhere. It would be a nice little change in, you know, color and vibes. I think this would be great. I know that there's a part where when you transform in dimensions, there's like a lava planet that you fly through, so there might be a little bit of a clashing of themes there. But I think Crisis would be great because there's literally roads that are like broken and dilapidated as you go through. So I just think it would be a very cool thing. You could go on the lava in like your boats. Yeah, so that's my Sonic 06 pick, would be Crisis City. You always have to have a snow level and a mascot kart racer, and I think Ice Cap is perfect for that. Not only is it a stage in Sonic Adventure DX, but also Sonic Advance, and there's other snow-like levels in all of the Sonic games, especially the classic ones, so you can incorporate all that together. But I went one step further. What if, as you're racing, you go down a slope and there's actually an avalanche that like follows behind you? I'm not quite sure how they would pull that off, but I think that'd be very cool. But as you're going down the slope, you go into a cave, and then it turns into an homage to White Cave from Sonic Riders. You could really be combining a lot of themes and a lot of stages here, and I think that would be very cool. Have icicles fall down inside the cave, and it would just be a lot of fun. Speaking of Sonic Riders, since we have Extreme Gear so prevalent in this, I think it would make sense to have a full-on track inspired from Sonic Riders, and I'm torn between two. And this isn't just like my personal favorite tracks from Sonic Riders, it's which ones scream out, this is the Sonic Riders franchise. And it comes down to either Metal City from any of the Sonic Riders games or Babylon Garden. And when you really think about it, I really don't know. I say that and I really just can't see which one. It would be kind of cool to ride around Metal City, all the versions included into one. So Riders, Zero Gravity, and also Free Riders, just kind of like combine all those aesthetics together, but then like launch out and go to the Babylon Garden. But that doesn't really make sense because Babylon Garden is near the sand ruins. So if I had to pick, I don't know. What do you guys think? Which one do you think's better? Having Metal City in or having Babylon Garden? I'm really torn on this one and can't give you a straight answer. Next I have from Sonic Colors, Eggman Land. This one is a no-brainer, and yes, some of it might clash a little bit with that of Mystic Jungle and with the neonness of the E-Stadium and the park of the amusement park that they're going to have as an original track. But Eggman Land is so iconic, and I just think it would be a missed opportunity not to have some Sonic Colors representation in there. Maybe a Planet Wisp if we want to get a little bit more into like the grassy kind of aesthetic. But there's just so many things you can do with Eggman Land, and you could even incorporate stuff from like Twinkle Park from Sonic Adventure DX, have some references there like the roller coasters. I think you could have a lot of fun with it. Alright, we are down to my last two ideas as tracks for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, and I like both of these very much, but there's one I like a little bit more. These are both from Sonic Heroes. If you don't know, Sonic Heroes is one of my favorite Sonic games, if you couldn't tell. I just have a lot of nostalgic memory for that game. I know it's not perfect, but some of their stages are just so iconic. So, what I have first is Egg Fleet. Egg Fleet, I just remember as a kid when I first started that stage for the first time, just running off as Sonic and his friends, and you're just in the air, you hit grind rails, and you just see a sea, an ocean in the air of Eggman, like battleships. I just think this would be so fun to race, and it's similar to that of the Sky Troops. Maybe that's the magic. Maybe you combine both elements of Sky Troops from Shadow the Hedgehog and Egg Fleet from, Sonic Heroes. So part of the track you're on ruins, you fly over, and then you're on battleships, and then you just go back and forth. It's like the Black Arms versus Dr. Eggman, which is actually canon to that stage of Sky Troopers anyway. Oh my gosh, it's just right there. It's a layup. And last, and certainly not least, is my number one pick / idea that I would love to see in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, and that is, what does every mascot kart racer have? A haunted house track. And there's a lot they can pull from, but the big one that they need to pull from, is Hang Castle from Sonic Heroes. The music, iconic. The enemies, like the ghosts, just exquisite. The vibe, the atmosphere. I need this so bad. Or at least a rendition of it where it combines it with some other spooky elements. Oh my gosh. It's my number one pick. If they announce that for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, I'm just going to be over the moon. I think I'd be more excited about a Hang Castle or Hang Castle adjacent track over characters being announced for Sonic Racing. I'm being serious. And I know we have like this haunted like shipyard looking one, but we need Hang Castle. Please. So yeah, what did you guys think of my track list and ideas for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds? Also let me know what of the tracks we know that are going to be in the game are you most excited for. I would love to hear your creative ideas down in the comments below. And who knows, if a lot of you give me some good ideas, then maybe I'll do a second video on this and highlight your guys' thoughts and ideas. With that being said, I'm OCDsaster, and I hope you have a super Sonic rest of your day. See ya!